The first official 1.19 beta for Bedrock Edition has arrived. 1.19.021 is here, and we now have the mangrove trees, mangrove swamps, all the mud blocks and wood blocks that go along with that, along with a ton of new bug fixes. And of course, last week, the Deepdark and Warden were also added to Bedrock Edition as well. It's going to be a jam-packed video today, so let's hop into it. Now that we're having 1.19 betas, that means that 1.19 is closer to releasing than ever before, but we still don't have a release date, so be patient. And furthermore, any bug fixes and update changes that were in the previous betas marked 1.18, that will be coming in 1.18.30, probably releasing in the next couple of weeks. And the current 1.19 betas, you can find the actual Deepdark biome, which looks a little bit something like this. You're going to find a lot of skulk catalysts and sensors all over the place, and honestly, it looks pretty beautiful. And this is the biome where you can actually find the Deepdark cities. So the biome is separate from the city. Basically, the city just generates in these biomes throughout the world. So I think you can find a Deepdark biome without actually finding a city inside of it. Keep that in mind. They are two separate entities. Now, Bedrock Edition does not have the updated Deepdark cities. This is kind of like the version 1 iteration, which we've seen plenty of, and it's basically what was shown at Minecon. However, Java Edition kind of has like the version 2, which is a lot more interesting. The Bedrock Warden has been updated in several different ways. You can see all the changes on screen right now. None of this is worth talking about directly, but I do like that it now angrily listens at us. The Skulk sensor has also been significantly updated as well. Again, none of this is really worth talking about specifically, but you can see the dozen or so changes right here. Yeah, sure, ancient cities are creepy and all, but have you ever explored an abandoned mineshaft in the middle of the Deepdark biome? This is next level thriller, because you know that something bad happened here. Like, nobody survives this. There's now a slider to determine how strong the darkness effect is. So as you can see, this right here is the standard darkness effect, which is looking really good on Bedrock Edition now. If we go into our settings, it is under accessibility, and as you can see, there is a strength slider. So if you need this, you can now turn it down to whatever setting works best for you. And as you can see, this is what it looks like at 0%. It's not nothing, but it's significantly easier to see. So this is what darkness looks like at 0%, and this is what it looks like with no darkness at all. These are all the items that you would get from looting an entire version 1 Deepdark city. As you can see, you got a bunch of junk items, and a bunch of even junkier items. So if you're playing on Bedrock Edition, this is currently all that you'll find in the ancient cities. On Java Edition, in the version 2 Ancient Cities, you get a lot more items. As you can see, you get this entire shulker box of stuff right here, including the new Echo Shards, which I'll talk about in a moment, and notably, baked potatoes, because baked potatoes are amazing. Secondly, you also get all of these non-stackable items, including well-enchanted diamond armor, such as like what you might find in an end city, and you also get a ton of diamond hose, and a fair few music discs as well, including Lena Rain. Furthermore, the version 2 ancient cities are actually a lot more interesting. You can see that somebody has actually come through here and built things, so there were people exploring these before the player, and you can see that they actually built like halfway decent bridges with carpets on top of them. There's also been several new structures added, like these guys right here, which have a trapdoor going down into them, and then there's this icy room, which I don't quite understand, but there is a loot chest in here as well. There's also this structure as well, which is very similar, but this one has a couple of note blocks at the entryway. If you're not careful, you're going to activate every sensor in the area. In general, the version 2 Ancient Cities has a lot more verticality to it. There's a lot more structures with stairs and ways for you to go upwards, basically. And there's also just a lot more wool in general. This one looks like a ruined tent structure, and there's actually a campfire on the inside of it that is not lit, so it's not giving off any particles. And that kind of shows that the whole structure was destroyed at some point. I mean, obviously it was destroyed. Look at it. I can't even build this bad. Also, this right here in the middle is kind of a table of some sort, as you can tell from the stairs. You also notice that the version 2 has a lot of skulk sensors, a lot of catalysts, and an absolute ton of shriekers as well. Like, you're gonna have to be way more careful in these areas if you want to avoid this dude right here. Interestingly, you can get multiple Wardens in Java Edition if you are exploring the ancient cities. There are so many Shriekers around that you can get multiple of these guys, and that's just kind of a fun thing to note. You're not just gonna have one Warden chasing you, you're gonna have basically a lot of them, so you gotta be extra careful. Even if you evade one of them, another one can pop up anywhere. And this guy actually summoned out of this wall right here, so even if you're going around like the top of the city or something, they can spawn in your, quote, safe areas. In general, the version 2 ancient cities have a lot more lore associated with them, and as you can see, there's also this mine shaft structure going up to the main area. Now, telling by the dark oak and the different colors of wool in the area, I kind of want to say pillagers were down here, because who else has access to dark oak and these colors of wools? The pillagers at the Woodland Mansions, that's who. The definitely not a portal to another dimension in the middle of the ancient city also has some secrets underneath of it, so if we activate the skulk sensor that's over here by throwing a snowball or something, then that's actually going to open up some secret redstone at the base of this entire podium, and there's a redstone door in here. The proper way of getting in here, not just breaking in. This thing has some super old school redstone, and this is actually the activation circuit to keep the door open for longer, and this is just another way of showing that we have quite a bit of hidden lore in Minecraft. You can take a look at all these different redstone circuits over here. They're kind of interesting. It's like the people who built the ancient cities were just basically discovering the fundamentals of redstone. Overall, the version 2 ancient city is a massive upgrade over the version 1. However, I do have one suggestion. Of all the music discs that you can find here, none of them are music disc 11, which is the super weird one. This should absolutely be included in the ancient cities because this is a found footage music disc if ever there was one, and finding this here would be absolutely extra creepy. I mean, let's be honest, this is not nearly the mood of the ancient city. Like, come on, this is way more the mood of the ancient city. Let's talk about the Echo Shards. You can find these around the ancient cities, and you'll need 8 of these surrounding a regular compass to make yourself a recovery compass. This is going to be a fairly rare item. I only found 4 shards in one entire city. Your luck may vary, however. These basically point you to the last location that you died. So as you can see, they're just spinning around in circle for no reason right now. That is because I have not died in this world, or I am in the wrong dimension for my death. So this is kind of like the default state where they're not pointing you anywhere. If we just go ahead and die real quick, you'll see that our recovery compass is actually pointing us in the correct direction. So now we get to follow that to our death and more easily recover our items. And that's basically all there is to it. They just point you to where you die. You don't need to have one of these in your inventory when you die for it to work, and I guess that's kind of a useful item. What do you think about the recovery compass? Because it's definitely useful and it's definitely kind of fun, but the effort that you need to go through to actually acquire it seems rather high, and it's definitely very dangerous. Like, you're gonna die multiple times getting one of these in your world. However, the Echo Shards I feel like could be very useful. These should definitely be included in multiple recipes. Maybe for something like a magic mirror. If you're familiar with Terraria, there's a magic mirror item, and that teleports you back to your spawn point, either a bed or world spawn. Obviously, a magic mirror is very overpowered for Minecraft, but we need something unique and special to use these Echo Shards on. Otherwise, I mean, I feel like the recovery compass is a little bit underwhelming. Also, if you craft a recovery compass after you die, it'll still point you to your most recent death location. So this is what the actual mangrove biome looks like. It is a pretty beautiful area, to be fair. The trees have a lot of ambiance to them, and you're gonna find a lot of bees in the area because these things very oftentimes have beehives on them. Now, boating around here is actually fairly easy, and supposedly there's supposed to be a lot of frogs in the area as well. Yeah, this is pretty good. You know, I like boating through all the vines. Boating through all the roots is pretty easy as well. Because the roots are so spaced out, there's actually enough room to get through here without too much hassle. So overall, I think travel through here isn't going to be too bad as long as you have a boat. Trying to go through here on foot is going to be a whole nother story. You'll notice that the entire ground is made out of mud, and of course you sink on this, and it just kind of makes a really squishy sound. It's very strange. There's no foliage in the area, so it makes it look a little bit barren. Like, there's nothing on the ground. It's just flat. But I guess that's kind of how they want it. According to the Java changelogs, you'll find the mangrove swamps in areas that's warmer and more humid, so this one is next to a jungle, for example, and they're not replacing the original swamp biomes, they're just kind of like swapping it out depending on the temperature of the area, because Minecraft worlds have temperature after all. So of course, the original swamps are still going to be in the game, but the mangroves are also going to be in the game now as well. There's definitely some work to be done on this biome. As you can see, it looks a little bit strange in areas, but this is all stuff that's going to get worked out as the betas progress. And overall, I do like the feel of this biome. The bees might be a little too many in quantity, and I haven't actually seen any frogs in the area, but otherwise, these are coming along very well, and I cannot wait. As you can see, even the Wandering Trader agrees. He's willing to get his boots wet just to try and sell you a mushroom. Speaking of mangrove logs, all of the mangrove woods and item types and all that good stuff has been added to Bedrock Edition. We already saw this stuff on Java Edition a couple weeks ago, so nothing too new here. And all of the mud-related items have also been added to Bedrock Edition as well, but of course we saw all this stuff on Java Edition recently too. If you want to know more about any of the mangrove blocks or the mud blocks, then check out my previous video on that. That's kind of all old news. As you see, the mangrove roots aren't fully waterloggable. They don't conduct redstone, but beacon beams do go through them, so there's still a little bit of work to be done on these blocks. The mangrove trees have been added to Bedrock Edition and Java, so now if you plant down a proper Yule and either just let it grow or bone meal it, you're gonna get yourself one of these things. This is a terrible example. This right here is a better example of what a mangrove tree looks like. Now, on Bedrock Edition, they currently generate out of oak logs because that's just kind of a placeholder item. And when it comes to the mangrove trees, these are going to be a huge pain in the butt to farm. I mean, that is a very large tree. Might I suggest the manual farm? Because trying to design a redstone for this might turn out to be a very complicated thing. Okay, last thing. I really want to see what this mess of trees looks like. Oh, wow. That is a mess of trees. Yeah, as you can see, these are very tall, very branchy. This one's got 6 branches on it. To be fair, these look more like actual trees than any other tree in Minecraft, so props to Mojang for figuring out how trees work. Also, chopping down one of these in survival is gonna be an extra pain as well. Branches are the bane of any tree farmer's existence. There's been a few very good changes to the Allay, so for instance, they now have actual sounds. The Allays will now only follow you from a further distance as well, so as you can see, they're about 20 blocks away from us, and now they're going to start following us. So previously, they would just stay really close to you. Now, when they're actually holding an item, you can actually apply a lead to them, which is a very good change, and now you can also name them as well, as long as they are holding an item. There's also been a bug fix to the trident, bow, spyglass, crossbow, and shield. They will now properly show up when the Allays are holding them in their hand, and they look so cute with all these items. This guy is kind of menacing, not gonna lie. Don't kill me, please. The Wandering Trader's also gotten several updates as well, just a whole bunch of stuff. It's nice to see that Mojang is giving it some love, because absolutely no one in-game is showing the Wandering Trader any love at all. If you like bed MLGs, you'll appreciate this next one. Whenever you're falling and you sleep in a bed and then you get up out of the bed, you will no longer take fall damage. So, as you can see, when we wake up, we don't take any fall damage at all. Previously, if you fell into a bed, slept in it, and then woke up, you would take a little bit of fall damage. However, it does appear that MLGing bedding is actually a little bit more difficult. I failed like 20 times in a row. But of course, now that I'm recording, I'm doing it 3 times in a row, because that's just how good of a Minecrafter I am. They fixed one of the funnier villager bugs, so when a villager was riding in a minecart or a boat and they got near a bed at nighttime, they would actually sleep while inside of the minecart or boat, so they would just be horizontal. Absolutely hilarious. I loved it. And then sometimes they would get out of the boat and they would be walking around on the ground, just sleeping horizontally. It was great, but that bug has been fixed. The spread player command has also been updated a little bit, so now it is less likely to put you in a danger zone, which is very good. Although, it did just put me at build height, so maybe less danger? I don't know. Technically, there's nothing dangerous up here. It's just, the impact that kills you. So whenever you spread players into unloaded chunks, it puts you at the top of the world, which I suppose is a very safe place, just definitely not for survival players. I don't know if this is intended or a bug. I've never actually used the command before, but Minecraft. If you enjoyed today's video, consider leaving a like as it helps out the video and the channel a ton. And if you're new here, then maybe consider subscribing, help us reach 500,000. Thank you so much, and I'll see you down in the comment section and in the next one. And then there was silence.